If music had the shape of a tear, the very first drop would belong to Joni Mitchell. She sang about love, but the world heard the quiet sorrow of loss in every note. She smiled on stage, but her eyes told the story of a mother who once lost her child. Revered across the globe as a musical icon, Joni Mitchell is not only a legendary singer-songwriter, but also a gifted painter. She gave the world timeless masterpieces like Both Sides Now, River, and A Case of You. With more than half a century of artistry, 19 albums and 11 Grammy Awards, she changed the way people listen to music, not as a way to escape pain, but as a way to understand it. Yet, behind the spotlight lives another Joni, fragile, enigmatic, and carrying wounds that never truly healed. Listen closely until the very end, because when the last note fades, what you'll hear isn't just her voice. It's the heartbeat of a woman who dared to turn pain into legacy. In 1943, amid the quiet prairies of Alberta, Canada, a baby girl was born to a modest family. Her mother, a music teacher, and her father, a Royal Canadian Air Force flight instructor. They named her Roberta Joan Anderson. The world would later know her as Joni Mitchell. From an early age, Joni grew up surrounded by the roar of airplane engines and the lilting Scottish folk songs her mother sang. But when she was 9 years old, fate came knocking. A sudden case of polio left her small legs paralyzed. In the cold, sterile hospital ward, Joni lay awake at night listening to the cries of children around her, some of whom would never wake again. When the doctors told her she might never walk, Joni whispered, "If I live, I'll live twice as much." And then she fought. Step by step, breath by breath, she taught herself to stand and walk again, as if her soul itself refused to surrender. People would later say that after the illness, she was no longer a quiet little girl. Some whispered that during those long hospital days, she began drawing and writing poetry, as if death itself had opened a secret door to art. No one knows if that rumor is true, but one thing is certain. From the moment she rose from that hospital bed, Joni Mitchell never truly knew fear again. When she was just 20, Joni Mitchell fell into a young and reckless love with Brad McMath, a free-spirited, golden-haired dreamer. But when she told him she was pregnant, he disappeared, leaving her alone to face the long, bitter Toronto winter. In a small rented room, Joni sang in smoky bars, trading her fragile voice for a few coins and pitying glances. When the baby was born, she named her Kelly Dale Anderson. In that brief moment of holding her child, she knew the feeling would never leave her. But poverty, isolation, and society's harsh expectations left her with no choice. She signed the adoption papers, tearing away a piece of her heart. People would later say that years after, whenever she saw a child on the street, Joni would smile faintly, then turn away, and when little Green was born, listeners heard the trembling voice of a mother singing a lullaby to the daughter she had lost. No one knows for sure if she cried while writing it, but it felt as though the sky itself wept for her. What do you think about this? Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss the hidden stories behind Hollywood's brightest lights. In 1965, amid the vibrant folk music nights of Toronto, Joni Mitchell met Chuck Mitchell, an American singer with a warm voice and a confident smile. He told her stories about the big stages in Detroit, about a bright future, and perhaps the kind of home she had quietly longed for during those lonely years. Joni believed him. They married quickly, sang together in small clubs, shared cigarettes, and whispered dreams under dim lights. But when the stage lights faded, she realized their marriage was like a song out of tune. She was wild and free. He was rigid and self-centered. 2 years later, she walked away silently, taking only her guitar, a handful of songs, and the last name Mitchell, a scar she would carry forever. Rumor has it that Chuck once mocked both sides now, calling it a naive song no one would ever understand. But when the song became a timeless classic, he denied the past. No one knows whether it was shame or regret. All that's certain is that from that day on, Joni Mitchell never spoke his name again. After her brief marriage, Joni Mitchell entered the American music scene like a wild wind. Free, daring, and utterly captivating. She quickly became the soul of the 1960s folk movement, a world where men in wide-brimmed hats sang about love, war, and freedom. Amid those melodies, Joni met three men who would change her life. Leonard Cohen, the poet with a voice like a confession, David Crosby, the loud, passionate drifter, and Graham Nash, the only one who made her believe in something called peace. "They taught me how to love," she once said, "and they taught me how to lose." Some say her song "A Case of You" was a farewell letter to Leonard Cohen, and his Suzanne was the quiet reply, a love letter wrapped in melancholy. No one has ever confirmed it. But years later, during a performance in Montreal, when Joni began to sing, people swore they saw Leonard cry, silently, as if the two were singing to something that never truly ended. In 1971, Joni Mitchell walked into the studio with a heart full of scars and walked out with a masterpiece called Blue. No effects, no theatrics, just a clear, pure voice, an old piano, and a sorrow so transparent it felt almost weightless. In songs like River, Carrie, California, and A Case of You, she told her own story of a woman who had loved, lost, and was learning to forgive the world. Critics called Blue the sound of a shattered soul still shining. Listeners didn't say much. They simply listened, because it felt as if they were hearing their own hearts. Some say Joni wrote most of the album while drifting at sea near Panama, where she unexpectedly crossed paths with Graham Nash, the man who once promised to love her forever. They looked at each other across the endless water, saying nothing. A few days later, he received a telegram from her. "If you hold sand too tightly, it slips through your fingers." From that moment, love became a song, and sorrow turned into music. After Blue echoed around the world, Joni Mitchell became the voice of a generation, a woman whose songs carried a sorrow everyone recognized but no one could quite name. Big stages, glowing praise, magazine covers, everything around her sparkled. But behind the lights, the shadows quietly crept in. She fell in love with James Taylor, the gentle man with the sad eyes and a soft voice, and later with Jackson Browne, fiery and beautifully broken. Both were brilliant. Both were lost in the maze of addiction and self-destruction. Joni once said, "I can't save someone who doesn't want to be saved." Rumors whispered that after her breakup with Jackson, she once tried to end it all. When asked, she simply laughed. "I may be crazy, but not that kind of crazy," and when Warren Beatty, the charming Hollywood star, pursued her, Joni answered with a half-smile, "I'm not a supporting character in anyone's story." It sounded playful, but it was also a quiet declaration from a woman who refused to let anyone rewrite her life. In the mid-1970s, at the height of her fame, Joni Mitchell fell into a love that would drag her into the depths. The man was Charles Doherty, a talented drummer but also volatile, jealous, and deeply unstable. At first, he made her believe that love could heal every wound. But before long, that same love became a prison. There were fights that never truly ended, bruises hidden beneath long sleeves, and long, silent nights where she sat by the window, listening to the sound of her own heart breaking, beat by beat. After 4 years, Joni walked away. No noise. No tears, leaving behind only one sentence. I don't want love if it's going to kill me. Some say during those years, she recorded songs that were never released. Songs where the distorted guitar and trembling voice sounded like a final confession. No one knows where she hid them, but in her journals, one haunting line remained. I'm still breathing, and that's enough. In 1995, a secret Joni Mitchell had carried for 3 decades was suddenly exposed by the press. The story of the daughter she had given up for adoption stunned the world and shattered Joni herself. The image of the proud woman, once standing tall on stage, was replaced by someone fragile, trembling through tears. But in the middle of that storm, a small miracle happened. She found her daughter, Kelly Dale Anderson, now a grown woman. Their reunion after more than 30 years felt like a chorus sung through broken breaths. They held each other for a long time, as if trying to make up for half a lifetime. But that fragile happiness didn't last. Rumor has it that sometime after, a bitter fight broke out between them. Kelly even called the police, claiming her mother had slapped her. No one knows if it really happened. What's certain is that after that day, Joni chose silence, and the two were never seen together again. Once more, fate had taken away the one thing she had longed to hold on to. By the 2010s, the stage lights began to dim for Joni Mitchell. The voice that had once captivated the world now lived mostly in quiet rooms. She revealed that she had been diagnosed with a rare condition called Morgellons disease, a mysterious illness that left her skin burning, her body in pain, and her spirit exhausted. The medical world dismissed it as delusional, but Joni stood firm. I see it. I live with it. From then on, she withdrew from the spotlight, living a reclusive life in her Los Angeles home, painting, tending to her garden, and listening to her old recordings as if speaking with the past. Friends say that sometimes she would sit by the window, gently strumming her guitar and whispering as if in conversation with someone long gone. On quiet nights, neighbors claimed they could hear her softly singing, "Both Sides Now," the song that began her legendary journey. No one knows if it was a rare rehearsal, or a quiet farewell from a woman who had spent her life singing about sorrow and living inside it. In 2022, after nearly 2 decades of silence, Joni Mitchell made a stunning return to the stage at the Newport Folk Festival, the very place where her journey had begun almost half a century earlier. With silver hair and a gentle tilt toward her guitar, she didn't need to say a word. She simply began to strum the opening chords of "Both Sides Now." The audience wept. She wept too. Each lyric felt like a greeting, an apology, and a quiet thank you to her own life. In that moment, it felt as if the circle had finally closed. The woman who had walked through hell had found peace. After the show, someone close to her recalled Joni whispering, "I've sung everything I needed to sing." No one knows if she will ever write again. But as the lights faded, people swore they heard her voice drifting like wind. Pain can become art if you're brave enough not to run from it. And perhaps that was her final message to the world. The life of Joni Mitchell is a symphony of light and shadow, where songs were written with tears, yet shone as bright as the morning sun. She was a mother with a broken heart, an artist, who turned pain into art, and a woman who never ran from herself. Looking back at her journey, one can't help but wonder, Joni Mitchell, a victim of fate, or the ultimate victor in her own sorrowful ballad? If you too believe that every wound can become a melody, Stay with this channel and listen to the real stories and the whispers that were never told.